Welcome to MacroCode. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. So today we're going to continue with our series with Blazor. So on this series, we created a link. So we created a section for students list. So this is actually a students management system that we are doing with Blazor. So if you can see on our screen, we have this option where you can actually add a new student. So you can actually key in some student details. I'll just key in some random data. So if you save it, you're able to see the data is being saved here. And you can actually retrieve and update some of these information. So if we save, so you can actually update it. So let me just do another one. Test, can do test, can also do test and save it. So you can see these are the data that we have saved. So I can also delete some of these records. So you can see we can delete here. So on our previous video, for those who are following this, so this is how our source code looks like. And we have a link down below on the comment section, so you can actually pull the source code and follow this video. So what we did previously is we actually created some endpoints for the countries. So we wanted to update our project with countries, as you can see here. But now we created the endpoints for the countries. So under the students management project, we have our countries controller. So then we have all the countries endpoints. We have an endpoint to get all the countries. We also have an endpoint to get a single country. We have the endpoint to update a country by an ID and even to add a country, and the one to delete a country. Then we also have an endpoint for system codes. So this is where we'll be storing all the codes that are required by the system. For example, marital status, gender, departments. So based on what we'll be doing within our application. So you can see here we have all the codes that will give us all the system codes. We also have retrieving of a single system code, updating the system codes. So if you want to watch how we did this, you can also have here how we are actually creating or adding a new system code. So we are going to proceed with something here. So on our project, we added a section for adding countries. And as you can see, we have this add country. Then we have our object here. So we actually using this country object. So for this country object, we have done some binding. So you can see we have the country code and the country name. Then we can actually save a country. Then we also, so when you click on this, so this should not be, so when you click on this form, let me see for the students. So when you click on that form, we are actually saving or supplying this data to create a country method. So on this section now, we need, where we were is we need to have the countries list. So you can see we have the countries list here. And at the top here, our navigation list is a countries list. So that means on addition of the country, after creating a new country, we should actually navigate to our countries list, and here we should also navigate to our countries list. So we have the cancel button, we have it here, and the create a country. So, but now when you come to our project, when you click on the countries, you'll see that we have an empty list of countries. Then when you say add new country, we are being given this country code and the country name. So what you are remaining to do is when you click on add country name and save, we should have now update our database. So when you come to our add country code razor, that is component, you will see that for this method we are not doing anything. So what we need to do, I want us to do something interesting. So I want us to copy what we did with our our application or our students. But now add countries. So what we need to do, you can see on our project we have the students repository. So I want us to add the repository for the countries. So I'm going to do students. So I'm going to add here country repository. Then if we add it, I'm going to have this as an interface. Then I'm going to use what we just add on our students, but I'll alter now the methods. So here we'll be having the country. Then I have here my country, list of countries. Then I can just, instead of specifying these names here, I can just say add async. Then I can say update async. Then I can just delete async. And say get all async. Then I can say get by. So that is it. Then here I'll just do country. Then I can just do mode. Can also do mode. Then I can just do ID. Then I can just do ID. So after I'm done with that, I can now come to my services and I can create a class. Then say country service. So this service, I want to now implement iCountry. So if I click that and just do implement interface, I'll have all my methods. Now on my methods, I'm going just to reuse what we have on our countries. So I'm going to have this at the top to initialize my HTTP client. But now I'll be having my constructor as countries. So you can see my country, I'm using HTTP client. Then add async country. So I'll now have to send my data to my endpoint. So I'll just copy that. So as you can see, I'll just say data is equals to. So as you can see, this is, I'll just remove this. Let's see how we, yeah, I can just do async here. Then it will solve my problem. Then we'll do this data. Then now you can see these will be mode. But now on our endpoint, then we will return here country. Yes, so this should be country. On my endpoint, I'll come to my countries and choose the endpoint to add country. I'm supplying the country model. So if I just have this, so my endpoint will be, so it will be this controller, which is the countries. So if I come to my service, it will be countries. Then my endpoint to add the country. So that is for adding country. So we'll do the same for the delete. So I'll just copy this for the delete country. So I'll just do the same here. I'll do async. Then I'll delete. So these will be countries. Then it will be delete country. Let's just confirm. So if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. So the countries, I'll just come here and say delete. Then I'll pass my country here. Then that will solve the problem. So if I go to the next one is get all. So this one, I'm going just to replace this. So get all. I want here to be just because we'll be reusing this. I want it to have kind of generic namings. So I'll also want here say data. We need to have these as async. Then we do here data. Then this one will be having countries. Then get all, we need to get all countries. So we'll choose the endpoint to get all countries. So this is the endpoint. Come to countries, then replace this. Then here we'll be returning a list of countries. So then get by an ID. We need to do that. So take this, come here, then we do data. Then we need to say async. Then these will be countries. Then get by an ID. So we are getting countries by an ID. So this is the one, single country. Remember, we are supplying an ID. So when you come here, we just update this. Then we actually need to supply this. So you can actually do that here. Then this should be, you should have this here. So you should actually supply this, get by an ID. So this should be get async. So then it will actually give us one country. Yes. So this should be fine. So then we also need an update. So we have it here. So that means this one is not working. So we need to change this to, need to update this here. Get single student, you should supply an ID. We can do that. Then it will be able to get. So we can copy this. Sorry for guys as I'm trying to copy so that we go faster. So async. Then we are updating countries. Remember our controller name. Then the name of our endpoint is update country. Then we supply an ID. So we are updating that. Then instead of doing that, so for the update, what are we expecting? So we are expecting an ID with the country. So what we did with our students update, we just updated. So we can actually reuse these instead of the other one. So let me just use this. Yes, so instead of that, I'll just say update country here to reduce a lot of work. Then I'll just say your country. Then I can do your country. Then here we'll just do context. Then update. Then you just apply this. Then you can just say country. Just say updated country. So if we do that, then we can update the country. So what is the issue here? We can actually do that. We can do that, then we can actually say await context. Let's save. Changes async. Then we return country. Yes. So once we do that, we should be fine. So these should be countries. Then we need our model here. So that is fine. And here we should supply our country. Then here we should say data. and this is data. So this is data. So we now have our country service. You can see we have the add async to add a country, and we have get all to get all the list of countries. So what we need to do after we have developed this, we need to come to our pages, and pages, then countries, instead of now using the student service. Remember on our add student, we were injecting the student service. So I want us to now have, so remember all these services that we had. So I think we had injected it here. So we have them here. You can actually remove this. You're not using any JS. Then when you come here, I want us to do country service. So you see this country service, you need to say add. So we should be able to see, say, country. So let's see if we go to this country service. What are we looking at? We say add async. So if we come to this, should do add async. Then here, the object should be the country object. So after we have done with that, we need to inject something on our imports. So imports.razor, we need to inject our I country repository. Then I want to call this a country service. So if we do that, then go back to our add country, this error will have gone. So you can see now we have countries.add async, then we pass our model. So when this is done, then our countries list will be, and we will actually navigate to our countries list. So for our countries list, if we go back, we're expecting, so let's just remove this. So we're expecting data from all countries. And you can see here, all countries is a list of countries, and it's being initialized, then we load them. So here we'll say all countries. So you can say countries here. We should get them from country service. Sorry, country service. Then we get, so we get all async. So if we just do get all async, what was our method? This should be country service. Sorry, get all async. Then once we get all the countries here, we clear anything on our collection. Then we loop. So we need to loop. So you can see here, if countries is null, just return null. Else, we say country. In our countries, we need to add it to our list of countries. So that is it. But instead of doing this, you can actually do something different. So if this is not null, then you clear. And you can also do all countries, then you can do add range, and you just add all of these countries here. Instead of doing all of this loop, you can just do it simpler with this code here. So let's try to run this project and see if everything goes well. So if we launch this, so if everything is okay, then our project should be able to start. So if we run, let's see. So if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing. So we've hit on an error. So let's see what is the issue. So this is the issue. We should actually have an student ID here. There is also another error. Yeah, let's try to run. So if you're new to this channel, consider subscribing, like the video, comment down below. So when you say, so let's see. So our app has launched. So if you go to students, we should get our students as earlier. So we have not tampered with this. So when you go to countries, so you can see the input contains. So for today we are going to stop there. So on our next video, we are going to remember we have our country service that we've just created, and we have our student service that we've just we created. Then we have our country repository, and we have our student repository. So in our next video, we're going to now have our implementation for the country repository, which is the same as this one. So we'll be able to see how we need to implement this so that our app can now work. So that is the only pending thing. So if you're new to this channel, consider watching, like the video, subscribe, and like the videos. So for now, we are getting these errors. So stay tuned for our next video, so that you're able to see how we move forward. See you in our next video. Please subscribe.